I think that the threat against Japan is, for every test that North Korea does, the threat level goes up against Japan. And you can compare with the European situation. If Sweden, for instance, would have a neighboring country as close, for instance, one of the Baltic states, if one of the Baltic states would develop nuclear weapons and threaten to use it against us, we would go bananas. we would certainly change our policy and become more focused on that threat. So I think Japan is incredibly low key when it comes to responding to the threat that North Korea publishes. But so I think that for each test and for each missile that lands in the Japan Sea, or the East Sea as the Koreans call it, the thinking in Tokyo is more and more that this is really a serious threat. We have to do something about it. But then I think again the answer is always, well, we have this security alliance with the United States, and this should be enough if something would occur. And now they have also developed that in saying that they have the ability or the right to so-called collective defense, that they can work together with the United States if either party is threatened. So it has already been raised to a more serious level, you can say. But I think that if the North Korean threats continue, I think that more and more focus will be on how to respond in a serious way and how to avoid further threats. And it's very, very difficult, but it will certainly lead to Japanese specialists spending more time on how to respond. But it's already on a very, very serious level. Well, I think the threat is as real, or maybe even more real, vis-à-vis South Korea. South Korea has been threatened with utter destruction many times from North Korea. And the common thing about South Korea and Japan is that both of them have bilateral alliances with the United States, and the United States is pushing them to cooperate more. The differences that they have shouldn't be serious enough to stop them from cooperating. I think already the United States, Japan, and South Korea, is very much in cooperation when it comes to how to respond to if something happens on the Korean Peninsula. And already, of course, Japan, the bases in Japan that are part of the whole defense structure, also in South Korea. So yes, I think the more that happens, I think the differences between South Korea and Japan will go more and more into the periphery, and the threat is so real that they need to cooperate, and they realize that they have to cooperate. Hopefully, this can lead also to better cooperation in other fields. So I think that from that respect, I think the development is positive, because really Japan and South Korea are both democracies in an environment where democracy is not self-evident. So they should cooperate. It should be very close, and I think both sides realize that they need to cooperate. And I think they will more and more. You asked if Japan will develop its own capacity to have nuclear weapons, and I think the answer to that is a clear no. They have the capacity, in the meaning that they have the technology. They even had it, or were very close to develop their own atomic bomb during the Second World War. I think some experts have concluded that Japan was only 8 or so months behind the US. So the technology is there. Some say also that they have the plutonium needed and whatever you need. Japan could develop into a nuclear state very quickly, but it's not going to happen. And the reason for that is, first of all, that Japan is the only country that has been attacked by nuclear weapons. 2 bombs, as everybody knows, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And the second and the stronger reason is that Japan is already under the nuclear umbrella of the United States in their US-Japan security alliance. So there's no reason, you can say that Japan is already covered by that protection. And if they would develop their own nuclear weapons, and that they realize themselves, that would go against all the international treaties and agreements. And then Japan would turn into a rogue state. And Japan is a responsible member of the United Nations and will never do that. So I think, again, the answer is a clear no. Conclusion, I think that the threat is very, very real, and it's really unheard of that you have a country that so blatantly goes against the UN Security Council, and it's you can repeat it many times. It's very, very serious. So something has to be done, but I think that the solution to that should be cooperation, more cooperation between the three: the US, Japan, South Korea, but also the three cooperating with China. China's role is extremely important as well. And it's a threat against China as much as it is against the others in the region, because China will not benefit from having a nuclear-armed North Korea. So cooperation is the key.